Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today we're doing my third segment in my top 100 games of all time, meaning that I will be looking at my 80th through 71st favorite games of all time. I've been trying to go through this list pretty quickly here, and I'd love to hear from everybody else while I'm doing this list what their favorite games in this region would be if you've made a top 100 for yourself, which I know a lot of us hobby board gamers have done in the past. So I'd love to hear from you guys and have you guys follow along doing that as well. Let us just jump right into my 80th favorite game of all time, starting with a pretty big named game. This is a Stonemaier game. This is Tapestry. Tapestry is sort of this civilization sort of themed game, but really you're just moving up tracks. There are 4 tracks around this board, and on your turn you're either going to move up one of those tracks and use your resources and take that action, or you're going to move into a new era. And there's, I think, 4 or 5 eras or whatever. Once you've gone through all the eras, the game's over. But it's really interesting moving up all these tracks. There's a lot of different ways you can play the game. And it's a Stonemaier game, so of course it's got these controversy around it where people say it's not balanced because there's a bunch of different people that you can play as that will give you different special abilities. So a lot of people aren't happy with the balance of the game. They've come out and Jamey Stegmaier's come out and kind of redone a few and give certain factions a little boost or a little detract from them a little bit just to try and make it a little bit more fair. I don't really worry about that stuff with games too much because of 2 things. If I'm having fun, I don't care. And second of all, I really don't care if I win or lose in a game. It doesn't detract from the funness for me. My fun for this game is moving around these tracks, deciding how I'm going to do it, which way I'm going to try and play this game. So yes, number 80 is Tapestry. Going to a pretty large game to a small little game by Steve Finn. This is Biblios for number 79. Biblios is a game that has 2 phases in it. In the first phase, you're kind of drafting cards. A certain player is drafting cards, and they get to take a card, put cards out for other people to take, and then put a card aside for the second phase of the game. Now, in the second phase of the game, you're going to be bidding on these cards using the cards that you already took in the first phase. And these different cards will do different things. You're trying to have the majority of colors, basically, in this. And there's going to be dice values assigned to those colors. If you have the majority, you get the points that have that dice colors value. I really like this game. It's an older game, for sure, but I think it still stands up. It's one of my favorite kind of auction games, and I really like the drafting part of it as well. So number 79 is Biblios. Going to number 78. Number 78 is Neuroshima Hex 3.0, which is kind of like the third version of that game, I suppose. I've never played any other versions of it. This is sort of this tile-laying game, and it's got this post-apocalyptic theme on it, but it's pretty abstract. But these tiles are going to have people on them, and they're going to have a number on them, which is going to be the phase that they activate. And these people are going to shoot in certain directions. You're going to have snipers, you're going to have melee attackers, long range and melee. And it's really interesting how you're putting these things out, because they're going to activate. Like if you have a 2 over here, and it's going to shoot your guy on phase 2, maybe you want to have a person that starts at phase 3, because it goes 3, 2, 1, 0 for the phases. That's when they activate. So you might want to kill that person before he activates, and the other person will put a tile down trying to do that. And it's very, very interesting. It's very thinky, how the combat works and everything. You're going to have to think a lot in this game, but it's a really good game. And it's like I said, it's basically an abstract game, but they put a post-apocalyptic theme on it, which I'm always a fan of post-apocalyptic themes, so that's why I kind of like it even more than I probably should. But it's a really good game in my opinion. So going on to the next game, number 77. So number 77 is another, it's not old game, but it's an older game. This is Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep is a pretty straightforward worker placement game. If I'm going to teach a worker placement game, this is one of the first games that I think of because it's very straightforward. You put your meeple on a spot and you take the cubes that are associated with that spot. And then after you take your cubes, then you can turn in cubes to finish these missions, and that's how you're going to score points. But it's very, very simplistic. There's an expansion, Skulls something export. I can't remember what the name of the expansion is at the moment, but that adds a little bit more complexity. So if you played the base game quite a bit, I would recommend getting the expansion with it. It adds a little bit more complexity if you're thinking the base game gets a little bit too stale. So number 77 was Lords of Waterdeep. Going to number 76. Number 76 is a game that came out last year, actually. This is Cubitos, a game by John D. Clare, a designer that I really enjoy. This is a pretty unique game because it uses dice building. Rather than deck building, you're building this group of dice and you're trying to get the best dice basically for yourself. And it's a race game, so it's sort of like your Quest for El Dorado kind of race game. But you are using these dice, building them up, getting more powerful dice to move around the board better, and buying more better dice along the way. It's a really fun game, really cute game, pretty simple actually, and I think it works really, really well. And I do like the cover of that, the cover of Cubitos with the little cheese guy or whatever he is. I think that's cute. It's kind of what drew me to it, and then I played the game. I'm like, yeah, that's a good game as well. So number 76 was Cubitos. Going to number 75. Number 75 is a solo-only game. Well, you can play it with other people, but I play it just a solo-only game. This is a small wallet-sized game. This is Sprawlopolis. Sprawlopolis is this city-building game where you are trying to connect different regions together, connect roads, and how you're going to want to do that is determined by these 3 random objective cards that get put out every single game. And I think there's only 18 cards in this wallet-sized game, but you flip over 3 of those cards at the beginning, and all 3 of them will have different objectives on them, and that's how you're going to score for that game. So there's a bunch of variability because you're never going to have the 3 objective cards show up at the same time, most likely. So you're going to play different all the time. But this is a game I really like to break out like late at night or early in the morning when I just want to kill like 10-15 minutes. It's one of the better wallet games that I've ever played. It might be my favorite wallet game, actually, now that I'm thinking of it. Yeah, I don't think there's any other wallet games on my top 100. So yes, number 75, Sprawlopolis. Going to number 74, which is another solo game. This is Onirim 2nd edition. And this comes with a big caveat. I don't own the board game anymore because I think the board game is okay, but there's too much shuffling. So this is Onirim, basically just the app version now, because it takes care of the shuffling. There is a ton of shuffling in Onirim. Just every 3-4 cards, you've got to shuffle a deck. You play, and you're playing pretty rapidly, so it's, place a card, place a card, place a card, shuffle, 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 place a card, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. So shuffling actually takes up almost a majority of the game when I'm playing it, and and I got rid of the actual game, and then I found out there was an app, and I played the app, and I play the app a ton. And this is, you're just laying cards out in a row, trying to place 3 cards of the same color in a row, but you can't have the same symbology back to back, and you're trying to unlock 8 different doors. There's a lot of expansions for this that just add a little bit something here and there, so that if you get a little bit bored of that, add a little expansion. It works really well. It's my favorite of the Oniverse series, actually. It's a really good game, and I highly recommend checking out that app, especially if you don't want to try out the board game. So number 74, Onirim 2nd edition. Going to number 73 is a Bruno Cathala game. It's a couple of Brunos that, we don't want to talk about Bruno, but it's a couple Brunos that designed this game. Cathala, my man, Bruno Cathala, and Fedudi. And this is Mission Red Planet. In this game, it's an area majority game where you're going to be sending out these astronauts, putting them on ships, and then sending that ship to land on Mars. And you want to have the most people in regions of Mars to get points. You're going to score 3 different times in the game, depending on who has the majority in these spots. But how you place these people is everybody has a deck of 9 cards. Everybody's got the same cards. We are going to simultaneously pick one of those cards, and it's going to have some kind of actions that you're going to take on it, like place out 1 astronaut or place out 2 astronauts in 2 different ships. If ever the ships are full, they kind of launch. But yeah, how you decide who goes first in that game, you count down. So you start with 9. Anybody who played the 9 character gets to go. Then you go to 8, 7, 6. Anybody who plays any of those cards goes and uses their actions next. So it's a really interesting mechanic in this game, and it's one of my favorite area majority games. And it's not too mean. There are some mean spots, but it's such a fast game. Like we played I think a 6-player game the other day in an hour, I think, and that was with the teach. So it's a fast game. It's an easy teach, just a fun game all around that I would definitely want you to check out. So number 73, Mission Red Planet. Let's go on to number 72. Number 72 is a big roll and write game. This is Fleet the Dice game. This is a very involved roll and write game, and this is kind of a trend that's been happening the last couple of years. Is roll and writes were these really simple things before, simple games that are simple to play, simple to teach, and you play them in 15 minutes. In the last couple of years, it seems like there's coming out with more and more of these complex, bigger games that fit more into the bigger Euro-style hobby of this game. My dog over there. Sorry. But they're big roll and write games. This is one of a few that I've really enjoyed. But in this game, you are going to have 2 different sheets that you're going to be writing on, and you're going to be rolling dice, drafting them. And I like this game as a solo game actually quite a bit. But you are going to get these shipping vessels, these fishing vessels that you are going to take out, fill with fish, and you're going to get certain special abilities and all this other stuff. And you're also going to get buildings that you're trying to fill out, and you're going to get points and stuff like that for special abilities for them as well. So yeah, it's a complex, fun roll and write game. So number 72 was Fleet the Dice game. Going to our very last game of this week, an older game now that just got redone a few years ago, probably 5 years ago now. Now that I think it came out in like 2016. Don't quote me on that. But this is number 71 is Archaeology: The New Expedition, a game by Phil Walker Harding. And this is a push your luck set collection game. You are trying to get different sets of these archaeological artifacts, and you are trying to collect all of them, and you're going to try and turn them in once you're satisfied with how many points you're going to get. Like if you get 3 of this item, it's going to be worth 10, but if you get a 4th item, it might be worth 25. But there are things that are going to happen that you might want to sell before you actually want to sell, because there are sandstorms that will make you lose half the cards in your hand. There are thieves where the other player gets to steal some cards from you. So you want to sell at the right time of the game, right before a sandstorm hits, preferably. But yeah, it's one of my favorite push your luck games. Really good game by Phil Walker Harding. He's very good at making these simple games with complex, interesting choices in them. So 71 was Archaeology: The New Expedition. And that will wrap up this video. That will wrap up my 80th through 71st favorite games of all time. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying this, me going through my top 100 games of all time. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.